And with that quest complete, let's adventure on to main quest number 5. Piers, what is our 5th and final main quest?
Well, it's a pretty personal one to you, Tark. Your static group for Dragon Song's Reprise seems to be really stuck. What do you think is causing your problems, and what can you advise others that are thinking about starting an ultimate for the first time?
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know in Discord you said some things, and it's a real shame, but I'll let you field what happened because, of course,
Okay, so
the world needs to know.
it's worse than even that main topic leads to suggest. We're not stuck. The group just entirely imploded. I'm not going to go into specifics to leave people out of it. But some tough choices needed to be made as far as the roster. There were some personal friendships there, and instead of hurting people's feelings, the group was disbanded. So that's very unfortunate. But what I kind of want to get into, as far as maybe people that are wanting to get into Ultimates for the first time, I was there, Piers was there. We've all had our first Ultimates, maybe not understanding what we were expecting when we get out of it. So I kind of want to get into Tark's top 5 essentials for Ultimate rating. And these are just general ideas, kind of put you in the mindset. They can be applied to both Savage as well as Ultimate, but it's a little bit more stricter to Ultimate. So let's start with number 5. Find a team that fits your goals. And when I talk about that, I'm saying, you want to maybe have a time frame. I want to get this done in 2 months. So that puts, kind of a sense of urgency. Okay, we got 2 months to do this. You want to find a group that fits that. You also want to find a group that kind of fits your personality. If you're kind of a goofy person and you don't mind kind of BSing, during an ultimate raid, but you still get stuff done, you kind of want to find a group that's, kind of accustomed to that and is okay with that. Otherwise, you run into an issue where if they're serious, but you're goofy, maybe they're not thinking that you take it seriously. Other way around, if you're serious and you have a, kind of a goofy group and there's a lot of chatter going on, they're still getting their stuff done, but you're getting distracted, maybe that's not the group for you. So that's what I mean by finding a team that fits like you and your goals. Number 4, communication. I can't harp on this enough. Communication is key. Not only do you want to be keeping the comms clear for call outs and stuff, but you also want to communicate, okay, I died. How did I die? If you didn't see it, maybe someone else did, or if you saw something during this race, if you're like new progging something, you got to be able to communicate what you saw to the rest of your group so that everyone can learn from it. And also that if you died, maybe they can help you not repeat that mistake. So communication is key. Number 3, please know your job. Like, I've seen too many people dive into Ultimates for the first time, not understanding what Ultimates are. And maybe they haven't even, to unlock it, you gotta complete Savage. So there's gotta be some instance, but you should know your job pretty much inside and out, know what it can do, what it can't do, what's best for certain situations, particularly. Like during my initial Ultimate, I didn't really use excogitation, and that was relayed to me several times disparagingly. But during my second Ultimate, I really learned my kit and moved on to knowing where to place these things as far as playing in this Ultimate, this high difficulty piece of content. Number 2, do your research. So this is not going to apply to people that are playing it on day 1 or day 2 or even, in the first week. But if you're outside of that, especially if you're off content, do your research. You got 7 other people. Learn what's coming, especially if you're getting up to the next phase of a fight. learn what the next phase and maybe the phase after that is like, so you're not going in blind and wasting 7 other people's time. It's imperative. There's videos out there, it's everywhere. There's toolkits out there. They're not third-party tools. They're just information, and they help you get that content down quicker and with less hassle. Oop. And finally, number 1, consistency. You want to be consistent both in your play, your communication, your tone. You want to, if you're doing something like dropping a heal at a certain time, you want to make sure that that's what you're doing every single time. There are going to be some RNG elements to every fight, but if you're consistent in your play and what you're doing, that's going to help you progress to the next part of every fight. And then you're consistent with that part, you move on to the next part. So that is Tark's top 5. Find a team that fits your goals, communication, know your job, do your research, and consistency. Piers, what do you think about my list? Is there anything that you would add or subtract, or what do you think of the 5, or would you reorder anything, or there be something completely different?
So is it listed from number 1 being the most important to
Yes.
number 5 being the least?
Yes.
Okay. I would say that finding a group that fits your goals is probably number 1,
Okay.
because that's something that needs to happen. Like as soon as if you want to put your feet on the ground, you need to find a group, obviously, right? So
Sure.
when you're looking for a group, you want to make sure you find a group that you plan on staying with long time. When it comes to, like you said, this can apply to Savage as well as Ultimate, but when it comes to Ultimate, there's a particular difference when it comes to the level of seriousness, I guess.
Sure.
It's hard to explain. I suppose you could even go with, like, even with Savage, if you want to join a hardcore group like Week 1 or like World First Prog, then yeah, it's going to be the same mindset as an Ultimate group. But not every Ultimate group has to be super duper hardcore or anything like that. But when it comes to Ultimate and looking at a group, like you said, finding a group that wants to fit a timeline, getting it done within a certain amount of time is super important. Most of the time, Ultimates are in between Savage cycles, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of your time limit, because not a lot of groups want to go past when the new patch comes out, because a lot of groups are getting back into Savage and spending a lot of time progging that. So
Yep.
not a lot of groups want to do both Ultimate and Savage at the same time. Some groups can. Maybe you can find a group that will, but for the most part, there's that. So when it comes to a time limit, you want to find one that fits what you want to do. And obviously times are a really important thing. You find a group that you know for a fact you can make those times every single week. If you want to be consistent with your timing, because most groups do not want to try to find reps for an Ultimate, and because every time you're finding a rep, you're going to be reprogging, and when you're reprogging,
Yeah.
you're not progging, and that's not good.
Yep.
So that's really important. And then, like you said, again, finding a group that fits your personality is important too. You don't want to go into a group that's super hardcore and super hard ass, and they are really strict, and maybe you made a mistake and you feel really bad and they're like putting you down about it. You don't want a group like that, because it's not going to do.
Well, that's your
wonders
personality
for
too, and that's going to fuel you to do better.
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely that. So I think that's number 1. I do think number 2 definitely is consistency, like you said. I think being consistent about mechanics is the most important thing you can do. I think I mentioned this last episode if you wanted to check that out. But I definitely said that consistency is key when it comes to Ultimate. Mechanical consistency is huge, because these fights are long marathons, right? They're not sprints, they're marathons. So when you get really far into the fight, you want to make sure that you can execute these mechanics, because nobody wants to go back 10, 12, 15 minutes into a fight, go all the way back and start from the beginning just because you screwed up a mechanic that you could have, like you said, done your research on. So consistency is really important there, for almost every facet of Ultimate. But I think you pretty much nailed it with your list. I can't think of really anything else to add. But
So I have 5 team that fits your goals. You put that at number 1, consistency number 2, You put research number 3, know your job
Yeah,
4, communication
and then
5.
communication. I think all of these could be number 1 depending on
This
what
is
you
one
want,
A,
right?
one
Exactly. Yeah, these are
one
all
B,
incredibly
one
important.
C. Okay.
Yeah, obviously. Like, even know your job. Like, if you're doing Savage, you can probably bring a job you're not super great on. And you can, like, for me, like, Reaper was my first time doing a job other than Red Mage in a Savage cycle was this expansion
Sure.
with
Yeah.
Asphodelos, and I was on Reaper, and I was a little shaky. And going through Savage, I was able to really master Reaper, and now I'm at a point where I feel like I can really do well on that job. But when you're playing Ultimate, you want to make sure you're bringing a job into it where you know that you could kind of go brain dead on it and
Yes.
focus on doing mechanics instead of doing your rotation, but at the same time still do your rotation. Like on Red Mage, I can completely turn my brain off and I can keep doing damage, but still be focusing on mechanics.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you're playing a job where you can do that. Like for me, if I was going in on something like Dragoon or something, like I don't think I could. I guess with repetition, I probably could, but
yeah,
like
you
I would
could get
hold
there.
the group back so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know?
You would. Yeah. You're that noob.
Yeah,
It's gotten to the point for me in Dragon Song on my stage that, the first phase and a half is all just muscle memory. It's like, yep, I'm doing this at this time. Yep, I'm doing this at this time. Okay, mechanics. This is where I need to be. This is what I need to do while this mechanic's happening. It's gotten to be, second nature as far as the stuff that I've seen already. So that's part of, the being consistent part too. So.
Yeah, and obviously it sucks what happened to your group. Like I feel really bad about that. But
good news though. Good news. I have found a new group already. It was just maybe an hour or two before the show, but I found a new group. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to bring the friends that were, considering joining my previous group with us. They just had a solo spot, but the times fit. They're exactly where I'm at in the progress. So I'm not holding them back. They're not holding me back. So good.
That's great news. I mean, like, this honestly could have been a blessing in disguise for you, dude. Like, honest to God, like, watching you kind of struggle through,
God.
It has been kind of painful. I think you could do well with a group that kind of fits your skill level, like, and it meets those 5 things that you were talking about, because like your last group was kind of super inconsistent and bringing in reps all the time. And like I said, with replacements, you're just not going to get a lot of good prog. So,
and who knows? Maybe this group is also because, again, they're still at the same point that I was at. So maybe I'm the replacement of the person that was inconsistent. Well, I mean,
exactly.
We'll see. I'll see on Sunday, is first raid night. They raid Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, kind of late-ish. So. But I'm excited to get back in there. I'm glad I'm not going to be, burning a whole week looking for a new group. So,
I guess
or the dread
6,
pug. Oh.
Right, number 6 on your list could be knowing when to bail from a group. That's just not happening. Because look, a good friend of the channel and my girlfriend Winnie, that poor woman, progged about 200 hours of tea. With a group, and only got to Alexander Prime a few times. So they were mostly doing Living Liquid and BJCC prog for 200 hours, and she should have bailed on that group. So sometimes you just need to look at your group, look at what they're doing, and after a certain amount of time and giving them a certain amount of patience and all that, maybe it's just time to go your separate ways. So, especially with something like Ultimate, that's just not going to get any easier until the new dungeon gear comes out, 2 patches later or whatever, and even then it's minusculely easier, like a little tiny bit.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes it's just best to look at your group, like even yours, Tark. I know you were even thinking about maybe looking for another group. So
I was this close to bailing. We had 18 raid nights, and we were just barely getting. I mean, we still hadn't finished the first main mechanic of Nidhogg Kyle. Yeah. So, like, I was this close to just bailing. Was getting with the raid leader, like, are we going to make some changes? He decided to go another way. So, and maybe this is something kind of number 7. If you're going to start and lead an Ultimate raid group, don't bring friends where you're not sure if they can actually do the content. So case in point, when we did Uwu together, when you invited me to do UCOB, I was like honored, because that kind of meant to me, because you had already beaten both of them. It meant to me that you felt like I could hack, that I could do it. Because I don't think if you had a bad experience with me in Uwu, I don't think you would have gone all the way in learning UCOB with me. So I felt honored in that. You know, you got to have people that you can trust to do that, but then also have hard conversations. Like if the people aren't pulling their weight, you got to make those tough choices and maybe cut people for the good and health of the group, so that the group can move forward. Being a lead in Ultimate is a thankless job.
It's tough.
It's a tough thing, because you really got to manage. You know, it's about the content. It's not about your friends. It's about doing the content, the hardest stuff in the game. So anybody that's a raid lead for an Ultimate, you know, more power to you. I tried doing it, you know, twice now, and man, that's some rough stuff. So I don't think I'd ever do that again. Maybe we'll see. We got a Uwu coming up. Maybe I'll help lead that.
Well, hopefully,
and I still haven't done T.
Coming up. Yeah, you haven't done T. That's definitely true. Hopefully, going a little bit off topic, but the Uwu DPS checks are a literal joke now.
Yeah,
like they are actually a joke.
Yeah.
So Uwu hopefully is with a bunch of people. Like I know if we bring in Mimi and Ultima, shout out, they'll be fine. And mostly anybody who Winnie brings is going to be people who've probably already cleared, plus me, plus you. So I think Uwu is going to be a nice, easy time and a lot of fun. But hopefully that we can do something with that. Maybe when the next Savage tier has been farmed and we're good to go and we got some free time, hopefully we can get into that. But
there's still an Ultimate planned for 6.3.
That's what Yoshi was saying. Yeah,
we might not have Uwu till 6.5.
little bonus topic to talk about. Little bonus quest. Yeah, they were talking about Ultimate, and they did mention that there was something hopefully planned for 6.3, could potentially be pushed back to 6.5. I personally hope it's pushed back to 6.5. I really like when there is an Ultimate to prog during the off season, right? It's what we call it, in between from the last Savage tier to a new expansion, the off season, the long stretch. Sure. Right? I think that's a perfect time to do a new Ultimate, or a perfect time to prog old Ultimates. But if they do, because man, going from doing Savage to Ultimate to Savage to Ultimate it burns anybody out.
Oh god, that's gonna be rough.
I'll do it
personally.
Man, it's rough.
Love raiding. It's one of my favorite things in this game. That and the main story quest. But yeah, it could be a little much, especially if you're trying to do both in a given patch cycle. Like if this 6.2 and you're still working on, like, you imagine. Yeah. All right, I got Ultimate, and then next day Savage, and then or you're doing both on the same day. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, that's just a little much. But hey, that's, choose what you want to do, and content will always be there. So
that's true. Yeah, the Ultimates aren't going anywhere. So I just hope that both you and I can get Dragon Song done before.
It would be nice. 2. I'd love to be a triple legend, and you a quadruple legend would be dope.
Yes.
All right.
Because this one definitely is the hardest one, and so if we can get it done, then we truly are the best players. But
that's right. But now we want to hear from you all. What do you think of Ultimates? What do you think of Tark's list? Is it right on point? Would you change anything? Is he completely wrong? Drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and massage that like button, drop a comment down below, and hit subscribe for more content. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. End of line.